So I'll give you the overview of the problem, and then you guys tell me what to do. And I'll clone this as well. Let me go find where the clone button moved to. That's one thing I love about GitHub. It's always an adventure. Every time you come to GitHub, you never know where the clone URL is going to be today. Let's see.
To be fair, there was a big refresh a few months ago or this year.
The clone URL has got to be the thing that's been most frequently moved on GitHub over the years. It's always changing places. Up at the top, on the side, now it's hidden away. Like it's not even visible anymore. Anyway, so here we are. And basically LSD, I think most of you know what it is, but it's just a really cool LS. So if I go here, my LL and all of my L commands are alias to LSD. And so it just gives me nice colors and it gives me cute little icons, and the icons are done with Nerd font. And if you are on Windows, Mac, or Linux and you want a really easy way to install Nerd fonts, webinstall.dev/nerd font will give that to you, and then you can enjoy it. And it has the instructions that you need there for making sure that your terminal is set up with Nerd font on all the platforms. Anyway, so you need Nerd font in order to use it. Well, you can turn off the icons and whatnot, but and when you pipe, if I just pipe to something else, oops, then it'll get rid of the colors, and it detects it's a pipe and it gets rid of that stuff too. So it's pretty compatible with regular LS, but it's just really nice, looks good, and it has a tree mode. So if I do LSD-tree, oh no, I don't want to do that. That's a bad idea. Let me do this. Let me clone that clone URL and then go into it. And then I'll tree this. That won't be so bad. So it's got a tree option and tree. So you could alias this to the tree command, and then you don't have to go download the tree command. But then it doesn't have the -D option. Unless it does, let me update to the latest one. I don't think that they merged in that feature. Okay, cool. So we still have something to do tonight. Great. So what we'd expect this to do is what tree does, which is just print, oh, I've got it aliased, is print the list of directories without any of the files. I don't have GNU tree installed, actually, it looks like. But that's what the normal tree would do. So it just makes your listing shorter. So what we're trying to do is to implement that. And this issue details that problem. And I'm going to refresh here so that I can read the screen easier and the glare on my screen. There we go. And there was some discussion back and forth about, like, should it be implemented? Should it not be implemented? Why not? Et cetera, et cetera. But what we landed on was what I had hoped that we would land on, which is that it's okay that even though this behavior would be in conflict with the way that LS works, since if you're using the tree subcommands, you know that you want the tree behavior, not the LS behavior, that it's okay to add this -D option so that you can easily alias LSD to tree and have it work the same that GNU and BSD tree do. So, and then one of the people requested that we also add, so there's a directory option and a directory only option, and that's explained here. So we could implement both of those features. And this issue kind of describes what we want to do. So with that said, here I am at the terminal. What do I do next?
Open an editor.
Like I said, here I am.
Open the correct editor, Vim.
But what am I going to do with the open? I need to go to a file or something.
It doesn't matter. Once you're in Vim, you're in the right place. No, do you have it cloned? I didn't see that.
Yeah, it's cloned. It's cloned. It's right here. Everything's here.
I don't actually care what editor you use. That's just facetious. But yeah, so you have to open this directory in an editor, either code dot like you did, or Vim, however you want to, because Vim is not Vim. It's your setup with Vim. So Visual Studio Code. Excellent.
Yeah, because I don't know if I've got Nerd Tree installed right now because I had some issue or something, and so this makes it easy so we can see the directory listing and whatnot.
So I like to start by understanding how this project works. Are there any tests in there we can see how things are put together?
All right, there's an integration test.
Indeed, I'd start there, and then, you know, once we have a feel, we can start writing a test that will fail and go crazy.
I was thinking that, I mean, is it possible for us to simply take the normal output and filter out the files before it does the rendering? So I was hoping to see how they got this list of files in here.
So that would not be the acceptable solution. Well, I'll shut up and let someone else ask the right question to help us discover the answer to that.
I think you have way too much confidence in us.
Well, you just tell me what to do. Tell me to grep, tell me to go open a file, you know, I'll do it.
Well, now I'm reading. So it looks like they are just testing different command line options and asserting that the standard out has a match. What is predicate?
Just FYI, I'm sort of in and out tonight, so that's one of the reasons I didn't want to drive. So if I'm mysteriously silent for a while, I may just be away a little bit.
Fair enough.
All right.
So where's this?
Nice.
Is there a test for this command option on what it does? So
The option for tree should exist in -- tree.
So there actually is not a test for tree.
Of course there isn't. We should probably write one then. But
write a failing test.
All right, lead on.
I don't read Rust well enough to know exactly what all this is. But it looks to me just like checking that the output contains something or the output matches something that it's looking for. Basically, grep or whatever as a test validator.
Yeah, these are high level system integrate. These are system integration tests, not the unit tests. So I guess
Yeah.
I guess
We
the
don't have unit tests.
I think the unit tests probably exist,
in the file.
probably like in the file itself. So let me just click on a file and see if we go down to the bottom if it's got tests listed in the. Yeah, it does.
Here they are.
Is that a common thing?
Yeah, the Rust standard is you put the unit test in the same file, and in the test file you put the system integration test.
Interesting. Okay, so then we probably want to look at flags RS instead of display to see if they have a unit test for tree. They don't. Okay.
Well, I'm gonna cheat a little bit. I'm gonna use my handy dandy grepper and see which files it shows up in.
Change log.
Layout.
App, display, flags, layout. Okay, let's try this. Scroll down here. And we have tests. Look, we have a test for the tree layout.
Okay. It doesn't verify the command line argument at all. It's just, okay, that makes sense for a unit test, I guess.
What's this YAML stuff?
It's a fad. It'll never catch on. Why?
I would direct you to line 95 of that file.
Yes.
Here
You
we
can
go.
see there that that's the command.
Yes, indeed. Some layout tree. So all it does is verify that it is a tree. And from arc matches.
So is this layout and enumeration, or what is this thing here?
I don't know. Shall we search for it?
Yeah.
I don't know how to search in VS Code. I'm not good with GUIs.
Command F, or you mean across everything?
Command Shift F.
Shift F. Yeah.
Y'all should teach me. Yeah, go ahead and teach me some VS Code. I'm an old.
Oh no,
curmudgeon.
no. You don't understand. That's most GUIs. Like Word.
Shift
Command
F
Shift F.
allow you to search multiple Word files.
It will allow you to search all open documents.
What? Wow. I wish I used Word now.
Excel also, you find in all sheets kind of things. You know,
I'm a
there's
programmer.
nuances.
I was born after Google Docs was reigning supreme. That's not true.
Yeah.
That line you're on, layout.tree. Can you click on that?
All right.
No, that's not what the constructor is.
Oh, this is the wrong place. The core seems like it would be a good place for this thing to be, but what if I click on this one? Okay, this to me, sorry, no one told me to do that, but I did it anyway. This to me looked like something that was at the top of a file called core, and I thought that might be helpful in helping us find this. I'll let someone else direct us to the next. Oops, excuse me.
How in VS Code can you say go to definition?
You right click and choose go to definition.
Or command click.
Command click.
Yeah.
Yeah, it won't work unless you have something like Rust Analyzer though, or some other extension.
AJ didn't realize there would be prerequisites to this.
Is this what I need?
Rust-Analyzer. Rust-Analyzer.
What about what's
Yeah,
this
that one.
thing?
That's
No,
the old one.
This is the new one.
that's the new thing.
All right, cool.
The new hotness.
Download.
Even I know that. I don't actually know
For
that.
some reason, it's not working for me though. I'm on Windows though.
Ooh,
Might need to
tab nine.
update.
So
Yeah, if you've just installed or updated Rust-Analyzer, you often need to reload the window.
it's only 2020, guys. It's going to be at least 50 more years before we figure out how to make apps that can update without having manual user intervention.
Okay,
Or
so
we could go back to Rust for Vim. I'm just sorry, that was a jab.
Well, I mean, I think.
It's accurate, but it's still a jab, AJ.
Okay. Anyway, so here I am. And what am I doing now? I was going to go. We were in core, and I was going to control click on this. Go to implementation.
Go to implementation. Definition.
you got to put the T back. It looks like you edited it.
No, it's the cursor. I have the mode for VS Code. Because
Of course you do.
I don't know how to
Here we
use
go.
an editor without HJKNL doing the correct.
Go to Plum Enum layout.
Okay.
No. Right click on it again. Or command click it or whatever. The word itself. Go to definition.
Oh, sorry. I clicked on the wrong thing. I clicked implementation, didn't I?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Here we are.
So should we be adding another option for this special flag combination?
Well, we've got tree.
No, because it's a modifier of tree.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it's like this. We got, sorry, let me do without the aliases. So if we do lsd-d, it just lists the directory. If I do star, that's odd. That's unexpected behavior, but what do you do? Maybe if I do // there we go. Okay, so now it's listing only directories. And so what we want is when we do tree, we want it to list just the directories without everything else. So we want the layout to stay the same. It's still going to be a tree layout. We just want to skip listing files that have an entity type of directory.
So how do we find the code that's actually
Or-
building that tree?
Indeed.
I believe we were in it when we were in line 95 of whatever that file was. Maybe this file layout.
Hint, 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 hint. I already did all of this work. If you want to
No.
cheat.
No.
Well, why aren't you speaking,
And then-
AJ? I don't understand. I think
All I'm saying is, I think it's fair that the issue, whoops, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, now you're back.
Okay, I think it's fair to say that the issue that we're referencing is fair game to hunt for clues. So, I did, but it's good to do, you know, original research as well. So, and that, I guess that's part of the thing here. But if you do want some hints, I did already find all of the places that need to be modified in order for this to work, and somebody else actually did implement it. So
How long did it take you to find all the places?
I don't know, probably somewhere in the realm of an hour or so. I was just digging through the code, and like, I'm not a Rust expert by any means. So
So part of the experience of programming with me is you're building upon at least having someone in the team who may, well, at least, or having people in the team who know a bit more about what's going on than others. In this case, some of us may know more about Rust than the others, but is there anyone besides
they're
you?
not speaking up. They're holding silent.
Is there anyone besides you who knows about this particular widget we're trying to work with? This command, this code base.
No.
I've never looked at this
I
code.
bet Eric's looked at this before, but he didn't show up. Eric's got commits in a number of the popular Rust libraries.
So since I don't want to take an hour and a half to rediscover what you've already discovered, let's look at your list.
Okay, okay. So yeah, we can go back here. Things that need to be updated. So what I did was I just used grep. Like when I'm searching through code, I don't use any of these code tools, as you saw. Like I didn't even know there was a, you know, go-to definition or whatever. I'm like super old, grimy, old school dude. And so I just grep through stuff. And so I just looked through
Okay.
and
So let's go to the display directories only enum. This that whatever that enum is.
okay, let me see. How do I get out of this thing?
You don't need to get out of it. You just click on the files on the left, top left, the icon.
Oh, this. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So basically, if we add to the enum that option, then the compiler won't let us compile until we handle all the cases where that enumeration exists.
Okay, where was flat? Oh,
Look at
flat.
you using the language to help you.
Okay, wait, what am I doing? Where am I going?
Go to where that we said to add that enum to that flags or whatever it was. Add display directories only. You're adding it to an enum.
Line
Okay,
244.
It looks like the code has been refactored and some things have been moved around since I did that.
So
I'm gonna-
Command Shift F, display directories only.
All right. Direct, it'd help if I could spell.
It does help. The driver is very, very necessary to spell. No.
Well, he was saying add that, so it's not in the code yet. What enum were you adding to?
Duh.
Oh, right.
Let me reference. Oh, I can't. It's too bad I didn't reference to whatever the current master was. So I think
Display directory is the you left out spaces, but display directory seems to be. This may need to be a sub enum of display directory itself. Question. Did you lie to us? Did you lie to the community?
you know, it's been a while.
Did you use non-permalinks there? Was that
So-
the problems?
I'm gonna hijack this for a minute to try to help get us on track, because maybe I do a little bit more code digging than most people do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at this from the inside out. So app.js is our starting point, and so like I don't know what all these libraries are. Like most people that are Rust programmers are pretty familiar with clap.
Yeah.
I'm not like uber familiar with it or anything, but I can see here we're defining a command that's LSD, and
Mhm.
then you know, this is a list of options, and so I'm going to go back down to where we want to look for. Okay, here's tree, and it has a conflicts with recursive. It used to also have conflicts with directory. So that makes me wonder if we were to build this code, if we would get a different result than what we get when we run it downloaded. I'm going to try this again real quick. Tree-d. What's my error message here?
You know, you
Tree.
can just look, if you look at the directory only, it has conflicts with tree.
Ah, okay, yeah. So we want to get rid of this. So I'm just going to mark this for now, just because we're going to want to get rid of that. And then, so I just tried to follow this to where the options, the arguments are being built up. And so if we just follow this all the way down, all the way down, all the way down,
Levi's here. Hey, Levi.
this is parsed somewhere. Where's
Hello.
the place where this, what do we get out of this? Let's see, new app version about da 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 da.
Build is returning the app itself. So whoever's calling build is getting back the
Okay, so we need to find what's
whole
calling
thing to parse.
build. Where's build? Build. Okay, so we got build there. So somebody's calling build. That's what we need to find next. I'm going to go to my old tried and true method of doing this, which is the old command line. This is
You want
just
to
easy
recap for Levi's sake real quick what we're doing?
So, sure. We've got an issue that's open on LSD, the directory listing tool, and it partially implements tree, but it's missing the directory option for tree, even though it has the directory option for the normal LS. And so we're going to add the directory option for tree. And we're trying to search for the code to figure out what we're supposed to do, because my notes are now out of date because they were written 3 months ago and somebody refactored the code and moved functions into different files and all that nice stuff. So
I can show you how to do permalinks in GitHub so you can avoid that in the future if you want.
I know how to do the, well, go ahead and tell me what to do there. But I know that you can get the specific branch. Okay, permalink.
Yep,
And so
that's
that'll
the
do the
GUI way
command.
of doing it. And the command shortcut is hit Y, and then you can go grab it out of the URL.
Ooh, God bless you. Oh, knowing that that's Y. Why is it called Y? For yank?
Yes, I believe that's for yank from Vim.
As it should be, as it should be. Okay. So we want to see where build is being used, yeah? It looks like it's being called all over the place. Is this the same one?
Those are probably from tests.
Yeah, they're probably
Oh,
tests.
okay. So you want to find the main place where it's actually being built. I'm going to just search in source and not all over the place. So we get rid of some of these things. There's in main. Oh, main.
Probably main right there, yeah.
Oh yeah, duh. Sorry, I was thinking app because I've been programming in Node the past couple of days. And so I looked at app and I was like, oh, that's where our program starts. No, it's main. It's main. Okay. So then here somewhere, did I already, no, where's our main function? Macros, macros, main. Okay, cool.
First line of main.
Ah, there it is.
It's right there.
Okay. Matches. Is this a VS Code thing? That's not really there. Okay, correct.
Yeah, that's a VS Code hint through REST Analyzer.
Cool, cool, cool. All right. So anyway, here matches our arguments. So I would say, let's go from this point of we have matches and we want to find out basically where the directory option and the what was it? The tree option are being used in the program. So let me open this back up, the app.js, so we can see.
RS.
Oh, RS, dang it.
No JavaScript here.
Oh, no JavaScript, no JS? For the longest time, when Node was first coming out, I thought people were saying no JS.
That's what they should have been saying.
Like no
That is-
SQL.
That
Yeah,
is what they.
go TypeScript.
So, okay, here's a question. Where do we find out what the actual, I guess this is probably building a map. That's probably what it is. There probably is not from this an actual concrete struct that has these things in it, unless there's some sort of macro that runs behind the scenes that build that. So we're looking for somewhere, we're probably looking for the strings directory only, or maybe directory with an uppercase only or something like that, or camel case, and then tree. And then those, but somehow that's all being aggregated into matches. And we can see that it's checking it like a map here.
Yeah, it's got a bunch of useful stuff. Values of, is present, etc.
Flags, configure from, this is making me feel good. Okay, I'm gonna shut up again and let the rest of you
Okay.
tell me what to do at this point.
I'd say go look at the configure from implementation
Yep.
from the flag struct, which I'm guessing is in flags RS.
Go to definition.
Oh, the definition. All right, cool. Here we are. Oh, I like this.
Okay, so they're just brute forcing, grabbing all of the things out of the matches, complicated clap thing, and putting it in their own custom struct.
Yes. I like that because that means the tooling is going to be able to find it easier than just working with a map. But it does look a little odd. It's kind of inverted. It's inside out from what I would expect in terms of like we're passing in this map and then it's getting the struct from it. So then we still have to go figure out where those structs are somewhere else.
Wow, it looks like every single one of their structs has an implementation of configure from. That they
Well, yeah,
implemented.
I'd imagine because it's they're retrieving specifically the particular items from the hash that was generated by clap. And I'd imagine clap has some sort of support for this, but for whatever reason, it probably wasn't good for their use case. So where do we go next?
Where's tree?
So it's going to be in one of the structs. Tree itself is not its own struct. It's going to be, for example, we were looking earlier that the tree is one of the layout options,
Right.
but it's, I think it affects more than that.
Are we going to line 54? That has display, which is an EM. 54.
54? Oh, whoops. Sorry.
I mean, I got this far and didn't know where to go after this. I could be wrong. So that's an EM of all the different ways to display things. So you have like all, almost all, directory itself, display only visible. I don't know if this is what we're adding the.
I don't think we actually need to change anything at this level. So it looks like display has got whether or not directory itself was specified, and then the layout had the whether we're doing directory mode, directory listing mode. So we need to find the place that looks at these options and does something.
Yeah.
Probably have to follow down into whatever decided we're going to do directory layout, and then add something in there to go look and say, what was the display mode?
All right, so what should I do?
So did we find the specific thing that gets set for tree?
We did not. I think
Not
Nathan
yet.
was making the suggestion of where we need to look. And I think his
Well, I was sort
suggestion
of
was
skipping over
correct.
that, saying that it looked like that code was just literally grabbing all of the config stuff and transferring it over. It was transforming it into these enums and then giving it into a new struct. I think we need to go ahead and follow the execution from main and see, okay, well then what uses that? What's next?
Okay, I think I found it.
right,
If we go to display.rs,
Go to display RS. I'm
You're
here.
already in it.
yeah, so the thing that gets called from the outside is on line 34, but then that calls another function.
Oh, there's two display.rses.
Oh,
There's one inside source that we want to go to.
all right, line 34.
Yeah. So this is the public one, and then inside there's inner display tree.
Cool. And it looks
So-
like all flags are going in here.
Yeah, this is what gets called from core. So the actual, when it calls run, it will do the fetch, sort, and then display. And the display function has some logic to decide whether it's going to display it as a tree or a grid. And then if you follow the to tree, then it takes you to this exact function on line 34.
Okay, so I'm here.
So where's inner
Define
display
inner.
tree defined?
So if we follow down to there, then we get some more stuff.
So
This is where the sausage is.
So what-
get
what am-
output gets the flags. For meta, and then for block, we get the output of the block.
So this is literally doing the display.
Yeah,
I am going.
we get something, an ANSI generic string.
I'm going to
from
suggest,
get output. So get output is what's formatting the.
I'm going to suggest that we don't have to worry about the display. We have to worry about where it reads the files in the first place. Although I could be wrong because the display may be a recursive function. I don't remember.
I was just thinking that actually.
So we also reference flags and get padding rules further up.
And again, I highly doubt that this is going to be useful to us because this is the padding.
Can you do a grep for enum?
I will. But this is the padding.
I've forgotten
right here.
what the ultimate goal is, so I'm just.
We're trying to make this view where it does just the tree view with the directories only, no files.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so maybe it's not about the display, it's about filtering during the fetch sequence.
Yes.
Yeah, because I believe that this library is built in such a way that you could use it outside of the binary. So there's probably a function that recursively reads and then calls display on what it reads. But anyway, I was supposed to grep for enum.
Yeah.
Like this, or
From the command line is fine. Just
that's all of it right there.
so my thought was that if there is a flag that goes with, are there flags that belong to tree already?
Let's check out the help. I don't think that there are currently. Because everything belongs to LSD. A tree is not considered like a subcommand. The question is, how do we modify the behavior of tree when the directory option is specified?
Okay, I think I really found it this time, guys.
All right.
I know I've been wrong before, but in core.rs,
Oh,
line
back to
80.
core.
Yeah, back to core. So I could just show you my logic here. So if you go to line 73, that's the run function. That's kind of the high level.
Yeah.
So it runs the fetch, then the sort, then display. And then fetch is actually right under it on line 80. You can kind of see it doing the logic of like the recursion and iterating through the paths that were given. So this might be a place to look.
Check for the tree layout up there on 83.
Yep.
Okay, so
Well, that's one of the checks for it anyway. Let's see.
there's a recurse into down on line 102.
All right. I think we're hot on the money here.
So what does that recurse
So
into?
if the display flags includes directory itself, then we're just pushing meta. Otherwise, we recurse into. So,
Recurse into takes us into a whole nother file.
So just to be clear for a second, what is meta?
So that's,
I think it's the metadata about the directory entry you're looking at now. So it's like the file metadata, I think.
Yeah, I think that it is a file entity or LSTAT.
Yeah.
Like object.
It looks like that meta list.push there is a good candidate. If both directories and files are metas, perhaps we could simply wrap that in a, well, if we're only looking at directories, then only push if it's a directory on line 105 and 99.
That seems reasonable.
So what does that recurse into function do?
I think recurse into is where we're looking.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, so this is actually when it.
So yeah, that we get recurse into returns either okay with an option vec meta or an error.
How do I open up another tab in VS Code?
It should automatically, if you command click on it, it'll open a new tab.
Okay, so let me command click.
If you double click on a tab at the top that has italics, it'll make it non-italics, and that means it's permanent. And then when you click on something over in the sidebar, it opens a new one.
Oh, interesting.
Or if you double click on it in the sidebar, that'll also make it permanent.
But what if I want to make it not permanent again?
Just close it.
X to close it.
So yeah,
Oh.
recurse into is what we want here.
Yeah, it is.
Because yeah, the previous one, you've already got the whole set of things that are beneath it, and you're just adding it at the current level. This is where we create that vector of meta entries. And we want to here in let entries on 71, that's going to be the thing that's reading the directory.
All right.
There I think, want to filter the entries so that it only includes directories.
Well, looky here on line 81, we have display all, which is modifying the behavior of the display. So I think this,
So
I
did
think
it
we have
actually
arrived at
already
the right
work in
place.
the command line arguments? We're just forbidding it?
What's that?
It looks as if the filtering may already be here. Was it simply that the command arguments were not allowing the combined arguments to exist, even though the functionality already worked?
Where are you looking? What line?
Sorry, I was just going off what you're saying. I haven't been actually watching this much.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so, well, here it's doing something. Let parent push, content push. So there's going to be a content.push, I guess, that we need to content push.
So if there's something already that will do directory only.
Well, the thing with directory only is it's not what you think.
Oh, it's
if I do ls-help
directory itself thing that was earlier.
Yeah, so directory itself. Let me see if I can do this with the. Oh, it's not. That's not what I want to do. Come on. Give me the error. Here we go. I need the man page. Man ls. Okay, so directory, because it's modeled after the old Unix ls. The command.
Oh, so it's like ls-d where you want to list the directory instead of its contents.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Makes sense. I understand what's going on now. So there isn't currently a flag for just show directories.
Correct.
And I think you'd want like an extra display flag that says display only directories.
Yes. Yes.
So then we need to go back into the parsing of the options.
And then you'd want to make it. This is where you'd put in the logic.
No, hey, clarifying question here. I was under the impression that -d and --tree already worked, like already existed, and they just didn't work together. Is that wrong?
Well, -d is not the thing that we want. It's display the directory itself instead of displaying its contents. So it wouldn't recurse into the directory. It would just display the directory.
But the answer to the question is yes, -d existed.
Well, not.
And tree existed.
So
separately.
This program emulates two programs. It emulates ls and it emulates tree. And the tricky bit is that both ls and tree have a -d option. And the -d option between the two means something that is slightly different. And this is why there was so much back and forth on the issue. Is like, well, we can't have the -d option work this way for tree because it has to work a different way for ls. And what we eventually came to was, well, actually, it's okay that the -d option works like directory only for ls, but then the -d option should work like -- directory for tree. So the -d option will actually have different behavior, whether it's being used.
We need a different flag that gets set. Currently, when you do -d, it sets directory itself. And we need it to only do that if you're not also setting tree.
Correct.
And if you are setting tree and you've also done S-D, then you need it to set the new flag that says display only directories.
Correct.
Okay, so we need to go to where display is defined, this display enum.
I believe that was in here. Yep.
Yeah, so there we'd need also, well, so we can't use the same directory itself because well, then you'd have to have something else saying whether you've set tree or not. And yeah, I would just call it display only directories.
Yeah, I like
just
that.
to line up with the one beneath it.
Well, there's almost all directory itself. I think this ought to be directories only because display only visible, I'm not clear why it has the word display in it, but it kind of would stutter to name things with display because the enum is already display and then you have display and
Okay. We need a comma.
Sure, but it's your particular hangups versus the existing hangups.
Okay. So we put that in the enum. So if you compile, it should now tell us all the places we got to go fix up now.
okay. So, but Levi, I do want to understand what you're saying because to me, this is consistent with the way that it already is, but it sounds like you're saying you don't think this is consistent.
Well, I mean, we're checking two things in that display function or in the meta thing. And the one that it's like is display only visible.
Let me go back to that real quick. Hold what you were saying, Daryl, because I want to do that. And I already forgot what it was you said, but I want to reason about this first. So display only visible is here.
Yeah. It's a weird repetition, but they've already done it there. We're displaying only directories in the same way that this is ignoring anything that starts with a dot. Those are the...
I want to see where display only visible came from, because I would say the same thing is true of all, because if we go up here, look, here's display all. So these are both in the same context of what they're doing.
Sure, but we're gonna go through all the entries in the directory, and we're making a check that's like this display only visible check, except instead of checking if it starts with a dot, we're checking to see if it's a directory. Or not a directory.
Right. Okay. Well then,
it doesn't matter what it's named, really. I just thought it made sense to make it like the other one because you're going to do a very similar check.
Yeah, it makes sense. The other option would be to compare two config values right there in the filtering, which then is more tightly coupling you out to actual flags specified. So yeah, good separation. Do the check here and the config munging. Turn it into one value. And
I also agree that it would make sense to call them both only visible and only directories, so you weren't repeating display, but I don't know if it's kosher to change the name of an existing.
All right, I'm just going to put a comment there. And when we put this up for review, I'll just make note of it. Like, which style would you prefer?
Yeah, that sounds,
because that is ambiguous to me.
Yeah, no, people get particular about their style decisions.
I thought you said this feature had
I
already been
know.
implemented in the PR.
Somebody implemented it, but I don't know if they implemented it right or if it runs or it hasn't been
The PR
merged.
has not been accepted.
So I didn't look at it. I didn't even know that it was there until today. I figured that, sometime before the meetup, if there was any activity on that issue, that I'd see it, but they didn't actually make any activity on the issue. They just opened the PR.
Hmm.
Anyway,
So
now
we just need to set that flag in the correct circumstances.
all right, so where do I go?
That would be back to where all the struct opt or whatever it is.
So the compiler will let you know where all that enum is always used.
Sure, but we want to go specifically back to where we're setting flags based on command line arguments.
I think it was back here, app.rs.
Yeah. So
Or as I like to call it,
arg name with
app.js.
tree is line 97.
Yep.
Okay, so that's just
This is
saying
just
it's
the
there.
clap
We've got to check
definition.
it elsewhere.
Remember when we followed the execution down to where it passed it over to the custom parsing that put it in its own struct, put all the different things into its own struct?
Okay. I do remember that. I think that was either in main or core. I don't quite recall. Let me see if I can find it here. Let me go back to main. No, that main put it.
What about flags?
Was it flags? Oh, it was flags. Indeed, it was flags all
There you
along.
go.
Okay. So what we want is probably this configure from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go to definition.
So we've got arg matches and we've got config.
Oh, okay. This is not the implementation. This is the definition. I think we want to go
Oh,
to the
right. That's
implementation. Okay. Let me go to this specific implementation. Where were we at? We were looking at
it was display. Yeah.
Okay. Go to implementations. Come on now.
Rust analyzer is not perfect yet. Try to go into the definition of display. It should be close to it.
Oh, we were just here.
Yeah.
Ta-da.
Wait, is this it? Configurable from arg matches from config.
There you go.
Yeah.
So just right there in the from arg matches.
Yeah, it's saying is present all directly. Okay, so if matches is present directly, you'll want a conditional in there that also needs to check for whether it's not a separate one. It's going to be within the directory only because that can be two different things.
Okay.
So if in matches we find that what was the tree is matches. So if matches dot is present name colon.
No, that's a hint. You don't type the name colon.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, it's confusing me too. That's throwing me off a little with the type hinting in the VS Code.
Yeah, is tree what it's the name that it gets here? Probably.
So it's tree. If it's tree.
If it's tree, then we want it to do the other thing. So that Yeah. And then else some self display.
This is one thing I hate about editors is the always putting in the extra brackets, like open and closing brackets at the same time. It gets me all the time.
Yeah, it'd be nice if they'd balance first at the closing if it's not already balanced.
So you got to kill the extra closing down like.
Oh, I thought it already did delete it.
They
Okay,
probably
cool.
added a new one.
There we go.
Okay, so it's
Display directories only. Did I not put that in there correctly? Go away. Zoom, get out of my way, Zoom. Zoom's covering my screen. How do I make this thing disappear? I don't think I
I
can.
can't see your zoom. I
Oh,
just see
There's
the.
somewhere you can click on and drag it, but it's not very intuitive. It's really annoying.
Is it not recognizing it? Because
Yeah, well, I can't get it out of the way.
Can you drag it with Alt? That's what Jacob suggested.
Do what?
Hold down Alt and drag it. Did
Oh,
that
I'm
work?
gonna leave that alone.
Okay.
I'm just gonna go on. It also has like the show hide feature and stuff going on. It's
Yeah.
Okay, but back where in flags. Let me make sure I define this with the right name. Was it in flags? No, it was in app. So app is where we define. No, we just.
Oh, you looking for the enum values? Sorry,
It
that's
was in display RS somewhere.
Which display RS here?
Probably the one that was already open.
Oh, sorry. The Zoom thing is covering my tabs sometimes.
Oh yeah.
So all right. Wait. Oh yeah, because it was we just
Yeah.
display
There you
only. Oh, display only directories. That's what it was. Display only directories, not display directories only. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Now we've got that one. That's great.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, so let's double check and make sure tree was the right key
Yeah.
in app.rs. It probably was. Just want to make sure.
Yep.
Yep.
Cool. You probably at some point want to change the directory only arg to have help that says that when used with tree, it means something different.
Okay. Display directories.
Although you could
themselves, not the
arguably say
content.
that help message is accurate when doing a tree as well. It still displays the directories and not their contents.
Except it does do their contents.
Well, like,
but only the directory contents.
Directory contents. Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit.
What if you just change it? Displays directories themselves and not their files.
There you
Well,
go.
but if you wanted to be, if we're getting to that level of granularity of pedantic, then you have to say, and only their directories, which is not accurate. But if you say their files, well, it also displays their symlinks, their junctions and character devices, etc.
I just leave a note saying to come up with a good help description at some point.
You could put like parentheses at the end and say like recursively if tree is defined or something like that.
All right.
Okay, good enough. Compile.
What?
Well,
We
haven't added the filtering condition over in mod, have we?
Yeah, I think we still need to add the filtering condition over here.
Yeah, so just if you duplicate the display, if let display only visible equals flags display.
105 to 109.
Yeah. And then you change it to display only directories. And then we need to figure out how to determine if it's a directory or not.
Well, there was a directory.
Entry, it's probably something on entry.
Yeah.
results dir entry. Okay.
That's from Russ FS.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I was just saying it's from Rust, like the standard library.
Oh, good. I like that.
Yeah, so we could look it up. The Rust docs.
They're right here. Come on, bro.
Oh. my eyes just glaze over comments sometimes.
Yeah, we'll go up so we can read it then.
Oh, sorry. I was looking down below, not up above.
So there's a file type method.
I think we want to go to this one. fs_emp_dirint.
Yep.
Yeah. What? No definition. Uh-oh, maybe we will need.
It's on the directory entry itself.
Well, where?
Yeah, where's the impl? Go to implementation on dir entry.
I don't know. I'm just looking at the Rust docs.
Oh, I believe it. Three implementations. Where?
Right there on the right, you can see impl dir entry.
Ah, here we go. Okay, sorry.
Double click it and I think it'll take you there.
Okay, good. Here we are. This is where we want to be. So we have path and we have metadata, which is probably what we're looking for. And do we have anything else?
Well,
File
file
type.
type is just the next one.
Oh, file type. Great. What are the file types?
Well, you can get a file type and then call isDir on it. And that gives you a bool.
I'm gonna try my new isdir. All right, yeah. I just wanted to use the tooling to go through the whole bit there. All right, where were we in mod here? So we want to do.
So the problem is that, well, yeah, I guess we can just do
Entry, not entity.
Entry.
Oh, okay.
So entry is already going to be.
It's going to be entry ? too.
Yeah. And I think it may have consumed it already.
Let's see. I was back up here.
No, it's the thing that's
right
down
there.
in the for loop.
there.
Well, yep, there it is. I went too far.
So we could go from the path to the metadata with fs metadata and then the path.
Is that going to make another call to the file system though?
Yeah.
What could we not do? Let entry equals entry, and then I mean, like, what?
Yeah. Just entry dot path.
You are shadowing. I don't know if that's a good thing or not.
It's never used again anyway, so shadowing's not going to hurt anything.
Okay, so then I go back down here. Here we are.
Yeah.
All right, lead me.
Yeah. Entry dot what was the file type? File underscore type. Question mark. Dot isdir. And then we want to negate all that. So put a.
Oops. If not.
Yeah. If not, then we continue.
Going from heavy Vim usage to an IDE is a lot like trying to go from heavy Dvorak usage back to QWERTY. It's just so awkward, isn't it?
Why would you ever do that?
I know. Why would you go back to QWERTY?
Yeah, I think that
one
that
of the
is the logic we want.
one of the great benefits, sorry, I'm going to go on this tangent. One of the great benefits of using Dvorak is when other people ask to use your computer, you can honestly say no. Can I use your computer? No.
I say yes.
But
And
how
then-
to
Yeah,
log in on
sorry.
other computers then?
Why would I need to log
like
in on
I
another
said,
computer?
it's awkward.
You just don't.
As a developer, why would you ever need to log on another computer than your own? You've got one at home, one at the office, one in your backpack.
Someday you're
Apparently,
gonna-
some people don't lose their QWERTY skills when they learn Dvorak. In the DV zine, the propaganda for Dvorak, that I believe is completely accurate, except for one thing. It claims that you won't lose your QWERTY typing skills, and that was completely untrue for me. I couldn't type QWERTY at all after learning for Dvorak. I had to go back and relearn it.
I would venture a guess that if you're European, that's probably true. But we Americans only learn one language naturally, so our brain doesn't segment itself. Whereas
Oh,
European,
come on.
no, I'm serious.
I
I'm
already
dead
knew
serious.
3 human languages and over a half a dozen computer languages before I learned Dvorak.
But you can speak multiple human languages at the same time. Like you don't have to acclimate for a week or two.
Yeah, I knew a French guy who spent 2 years in the United States speaking only English and Spanish, and when he went home, he couldn't speak French for a month. I mean, if you haven't done something a long time, you lose it.
Yeah, because for me, like I can speak Spanish if I were to spend a week in a Spanish-speaking country, and I can speak Albanian if I were to spend a week in Albania. But like right now, my language skills are, if I go to the alternate language section of my brain, it just jumbles Spanish and Albanian together, which are not similar languages. Anyway,
So which one of those was the mission?
Albanian.
Albanian.
No one learns Albanian for any other reason.
Well, I don't know. If your parents were Albanian, you could.
I guess that's true. Well, my daughter is
I had an
Latvian,
Albanian
so,
companion
of my wife.
in San Diego.
You say your wife's Albanian?
No, she's Latvian, which
Latvian.
actually they are similar languages in that they're not similar to any other languages, but they do have the same Proto-European stem, but you can't tell by listening to them or looking at the grammar that they're similar. Anyway, off tangent, back onto the main meat here.
Try it out.
Okay, so we try it? Okay. Like, yeah.
Yeah, compile.
Can y'all hear the music of the wedding in the next room over?
No.
Miley Cyrus party in the USA.
Where are you?
You in a church?
I'm at the startup building, and in the evenings, the startup building is now a wedding reception venue, and the wedding receptions have only picked up here, I think, because, so many people are pretending like they're, I don't know, not doing anything. And then here at the startup building, like people are just living their lives like normal. And so I think their wedding business has picked up a lot more here because it's like, and it's on the dark side of town too, just kind of incidentally. There's like the ethnic nightclub is across the street and the railroad tracks are across the street. So it's, anyway.
I ducked out for a couple of minutes. Now I'm completely lost. We talking about the entries?
What?
We stopped
been a lot of
talking about that
tangents.
for a moment. We think we got the stuff all implemented. We're seeing if it builds.
Let's test it.
So is it cargo run? Sorry for anybody watching online with all of our tangents or watching the potential recording.
Cargo run won't work without the flags.
Well, what is it doing right now then?
Well,
Well,
it'll
just-
run.
it'll
it
just
just
run
Flags.
Without flags, yeah.
Okay. What do I need to get this thing?
Just
I
put
on?
your
think it's,
What?
No, you put a double dash and then you put your arguments.
Sure, if there's any conflicting ones. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it did run. Okay, yeah. Yeah, it's just okay, let's do Hallelujah.
Ta-da.
Hey. Nice.
Although I do have to say the coloring and the iconography is now mute. But
What do you mean? It's the same
exactly
as it
what I
was the
wanted.
directories before.
well, yeah, but now it's just so blasé. It was exciting before.
Yeah.
Don't patch
We
dash
didn't
D.
do- So we didn't do any test-driven development. Is there a test we should have put in here to confirm it does the right thing?
Yep. We should put in tests. Clean everything up.
All right, well, let's see. What are the files that we changed? Well, sorry, somebody else should be asking that question, but I already did, so I'm just going to do git status.
But we changed display, right?
So my guess is that those files are where we need to add tests.
If they've got tests and also tests.rs, you're going to want integration test for this one.
All right, what do I do?
Sorry, they don't have a tests.rs. They have a tests directory with integration.rs.
Guide me.
Come on, I'm sure someone else can do this part. Who wants to lead for the tests?
Nobody wants to do tests. Let's be honest. We're all friends here.
Are we done? Should we just chat for the rest of it?
Well, we got to get to the
Don't wanna
point where we actually
Don't want
make
to
the
submit
PR.
this without tests.
I like tests, but I don't know Rust, so I'm useless.
So the mod file is where we did this work, right?
Yeah,
So
I
these-
do want to
these
point
are the
out
files that
if
we did.
someone's already done equivalent work, it would be rude for us to submit another PR without looking at their work first and seeing if there is some reason to try to trounce on it, you know?
Can we go look at their work? See what they did?
Just
So they
a
did the same thing?
Yeah, let's do. I think that'd be really interesting. Let's go look at the diff
All
on
right.
their PR.
All right, that's what we're going to do. So there was another request in here. What I was after was the -D, but there was another request to implement -- directory as well, which is because BSDLS and GNU-LS and LSD and blah blah blah. Okay,
That's
so
just wait, is that different behavior or is that just an alternate way to specify -D?
I believe that it is nuanced, different behavior. I think, well, let's see. We want -- directory for compatibility with LS because, okay, yeah. -D's long version should have been directory. This is what GNU is thinking. Okay, and I actually want to test this out. It's been ls-d. Okay, it does indeed print the directory itself. Okay.
What about tree?
So I think, so I don't have tree installed. I don't know that I want to install it. So FYI, I created webinstall.dev along with Ryan Burnett, and then there's various other people that have helped out. But I did this because I wasn't necessarily supposed to be a replacement for Brew. It was more about being cross-platform because there's a lot of tools out there that work everywhere, like LSD, where they work on Windows. And that was kind of like the original motivation behind this, was to have one thing that installs, but well, there's a couple pieces and there's a video on the site that explains, but basically no sudo, static builds, and cross-platform is kind of like and then fast was important. So Brew, every time I go to install something with Brew, I end up instead writing an installer for the static version of that program if I can find it for web install. But LSD is the thing that I'm going to be using as the static version of Tree, because Tree is one of those old programs that you can't install in a sane way because it's, everything has to have a million dependencies and take forever. So when we get done with this,
I have to ask,
yeah,
why in the world do you end up going and writing an installer for a binary instead of using Brew?
Because look at this right here, okay? We're sitting waiting
Right,
here.
but this is
It's
faster
already
than
been.
going and writing your own installer. Is it not?
Look, and now it doesn't even work. No, I hate dealing with Brew. But okay, but so I'm working on beyondcodebootcamp.com, which is a video course. Well, right now it's just a placeholder, like sign up, but a video course for becoming a software engineer. And I hate trying to explain like, oh, it's this way on Windows and it's that way on Mac and it's this way on Linux. And so if I could just cut that out, because it's all tedious and none of it's like important, because you're only going to be doing important things on Linux in terms of, deployment or whatever. You don't deploy things to Windows or to Mac. But to be able to use tools and be able to use them quickly and not have to have like a bunch of backstory. So that was kind of like, again, as the cross-platform piece was what was driving it. But now, yeah, it's quicker for me to go, just copy one of the installers and find the, if there's a GitHub page that has the static builds for whatever it is, it's quicker to do that than it is to futz with Brew and figure out why it won't work. I hate Brew so much. In this case, it's
you
just
obviously
because
really haven't used it because you copy and paste that command. That's, it needs the actual command line tools for a lot of underlying stuff Brew does, and that's it. It usually
but then
isn't
it
anything
takes
else.
forever to install things, and what's that? libSSL is always broken, and then you update libSSL, and then it breaks everything else that you installed with Brew that uses SSL. So I just quit Brew. Like I don't install curl with Brew. I don't install SSH with Brew. Like I have to install screen with Brew because the BSD screen is just stupid and it won't work over SSH, which is ridiculous. But so you have to have G and U screen. But anyway, blah. And it's nice on Linux too. There's multiple pluses to it that makes it worth it for me. And it's fun, but the other things are so frustrating. And basically the whole reason that Docker exists is because something like this didn't exist, because everybody wants to do shared binaries instead of static binaries. And so you end up having to have an entire operating system encapsulating so that you can run something that has shared binaries that otherwise would have these compatibility problems. But that's not the rant that I wanted to get on here.
That, or you need something like what Nix does for its little customized environments for each binary.
And I've heard of Nix and it sounds cool, but I'm not very familiar with it. Anyway.
Okay, so this is the other PR with the other implementation?
Yes. Oh, there's
okay. So they added a line in change log, and they did the documentation. That's the same removal of conflicts with. They also added a variant to the enum, like we did. They chose a different name.
They're like, whatever. Let's call it treaty.
I'll make my own quirky naming convention.
Now that's interesting. Why did they look for tree?
Oh, is dir like? That's interesting because that may apply to junctions or something.
Or symlinks to directories. What's a junction?
A junction is a symlink to a directory.
Oh, okay.
Well,
is that a Windows thing or a?
I believe it's both Windows and Mac. No, in Mac I think it's called a resource fork or something like that.
Resource forks are different.
Mac has symlinks.
Mac has some sort of special directory thing. It's how Time Machine is able to work.
Those are just hard links. Well,
but
it was under HF.
Special. It's not Linux.
Resource forks are a special thing, but
yeah,
they're their own thing. It's like the data fork for a file. I mean, it's a thing that's existed in Mac OS since the original Mac OS.
Wait, what's this entry meta? Where did that come from? Was that there and we just missed it?
That's a great question.
Oh, it's there. Where'd that come from? Entry meta.
Oh, so it's a self from path flags.
Okay,
that's
VS Code
creating
has
a metadata from a path. So it's looking it up from the file system again.
Why?
Because they didn't realize that they had one to begin with, and I don't know.
Well, this is
a
already existing code in
custom meta
ours.
rather than the path metadata. So I mean, it's probably got the standard lib metadata inside it, but yeah, I don't know.
Could we do them a favor and you think just use the entry that's already there?
I don't know that that's what they want
doing. Dereference. Does this have to do with symlinks there?
So what if I do this? Does it work?
Whoa, what did you do?
Why does that not work? It's a different type. Meta mid. Oh, during. Oh,
yeah. Entry meta is not the file system metadata type from the standard lib.
oh, right. Does it contain it? Wait, because weren't we able?
It might.
Yeah, we were able to call.
What
so
is self
file
from
type.
path?
This is dir entry.
Right, dir entry. You can get. So you can call file type on it, and I think that passes it through. It's like a helper that passes. It gets the metadata for the file and then calls file type on that.
Okay, so maybe what we should do is actually undo that change here and then move this below entry meta.
Yeah, we may be able to get the file type from entry meta.
And get. Okay, so what was the thing?
Or like,
And then is dir like, and then what was this?
You might not need the question mark anymore. You'd have to. I don't remember exactly what it was called, but
Maybe we just.
maybe it's just is dir like.
Let's
Yeah, you'll
go
have to
cheat
look
again. Oh, it's file type, just a property, not an invocation.
Yeah.
Cool. Good cheating skills.
Well, at this point, I'm feeling more confident that there's no need for us to push our code.
But we will, because we did it together. I told them that we would do it, and we did it.
I'm not sure that us doing it together.
Do we do it
the
like
right thing to do?
with a please reject? We're just fulfilling our promise.
I would not accept a pull request about unit tests.
I would. Well,
this explains so much,
doesn't it? Okay, well, do we want to add tests?
It's up to you guys. I'm good.
Let's just see where we would add them. Is there something down at the bottom of this file that would be obvious to put it?
Seems like some people in chat don't really know how like Rust test works, so maybe giving like a quick overview.
Oh, sorry. I didn't realize there was the chat going on because Zoom doesn't work well that way when you're screen sharing. So glad somebody's been monitoring it. Okay, so there are no tests here. What?
Not in this file, but I'm not sure where. Can you switch back to the browser? The PR.
I think this was integration tests.
Oh, okay. Makes sense as a place to put them.
Well, but there are other tests that I think maybe, so these are the files that we've modified: display, app, and mod. There's no tests in mod to add to. I don't think there's any tests in app to add to. Nope. Are there any tests in display to add to? Okay, but there are tests in display that we could add to.
Okay, so there's a request to describe how testing works in Rust. Do you want to go ahead and describe that?
Oh, sorry, didn't mean to skip over that.
Yeah, if you scroll up a little further, you'll see the module. Yeah.
So somebody kind of mentioned this earlier. I'll give a brief recap, and then whoever it was, you know who you are, you can jump back in. But Rust, the tests go in the file that they pertain to. And there's this little macro bit that goes above the test, basically to let it know this is where the tests are. Don't include this in the production build. And when you run the test commands, run this code. And then each individual test has, as you can see here, a macro above it. So you kind of, I mean, it almost behaves like a separate file, because you're doing uses and stuff like that again. And then each function that has the test macro above it will be run when you run cargo test. I actually think I expanded rather than summarized.
And then for integration tests, you can have a separate file called tests.s or a directory called tests with a bunch of files if you have tons of them. And those will usually be those will be run as a completely separate program. So instead of a module within your library, it will be a completely separate program. So then you can do things like execute it via command and give it an actual command line input and then examine the output, or whatever, however you want to do your integration testing.
And all these bits are just part of the standard lib in Rust?
Yeah.
Well, it's built into cargo, and
thanks
the attribute macros and stuff are built into the standard library, and then cargo knows how to interpret them. And
okay, so standard tool change.
Yeah. So it's built into the language as a whole.
Rust is just as advanced as Go.
The beauty of the tests in the file is that they can access any fields. They have private access.
Right.
A question about GitHub best practices here. So since I deal with mostly proprietary stuff, I use proprietary Git repositories, not GitHub that much. So when you want to request a feature on a project, I mean, how did you see that people wanted this particular feature, AJ?
I wanted this feature because I went to go, because I have LSD aliased as tree. And
did you open an issue on the project, or what? How did you indicate that you wanted this feature?
Well, so I just searched in here for tree because I figured other people.
It was under issues. It was under. So it wasn't because I thought issues was only for bugs.
Issues is for anything. So they get tagged with enhancements, features, questions that people do, like troubleshooting stuff in there. It's kind of a catch-all.
And GitHub just launched their own Stack Overflow called Discussions.
Yeah, going forward, you're going to want to check the discussion section first if the repo has one. Like if you want to go to cleancut/green, which is one of my projects, I enabled discussions since we released it this week publicly. And you can click on discussions between actions and pull requests. And this is
fancy. Like
AJ said, it's like a Stack Overflow type of thing. There's two types of discussions. There's an open-ended and there's a question answer format. And so like in this one, I made two categories. If you go up a little bit on the left, the categories are enhancements and Q&A, and enhancements is an open-ended type discussion, and Q&A is an question answer format where you can actually mark something that's like answered. Going forward, this is probably where you're going to want to go look to see if a feature has already been requested, or make your own feature request. And then, if they don't have discussions, then issues is your catch-all.
So this is brand new. How was the adoption of this? Is like out last week or?
Yeah, it's like a couple days ago, right?
Yeah, we released it on Tuesday or Monday or Tuesday. Tuesday. It was Tuesday.
You need to add it to an existing repository.
Yeah, you can enable this on any repository, any existing repository.
So
and like you'll notice, I didn't get all these new discussions. You can convert issues to discussions. So I actually went through my issues and said, okay, these are all appropriate for this type of discussion, and I made the conversion.
Let's see if I've got anything here worth. I'll just go ahead and open this up.
I actually had a label before, a label that was like question or discussion.
Right.
And you can go to a specific label and just say, convert all of these to a specific type of discussion.
Oh, I'm not in the beta on this one, it looks like. Wasn't it something like right here?
It's public. And just keep going down.
Right there. Oh, there it is. So you can click setup discussions.
This will prompt you to make your own discussion. That's what it's doing.
Yeah, I quit at this point because I thought it was just gonna be like a click enable, and then it wanted me to do more stuff, and I was like,
well, it is enabled. This is just prompting you to actually make one. You can just click up on the discussions tab at top and it'll take you into the empty list.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, because I did that and I was like, oh, that's a lot to read. I'll read that later. Cool.
Those are default categories.
Makes sense. All right. Anyway, back to, we got 15 minutes to implement test and to do a PR, and I think we have like a Gmail address that I can use to submit this under for Utah Rust. I don't remember what it is. Uh-oh.
Why not use yourself?
ECI hub, huh?
Maybe it's without the, I don't even know what our GitHub is. Look at that. Wait, what? The what? How come when oh, service workers. That's why. The new leading cause of cache issues on the internet. So I had typed this in by hand and I typed it in correctly, and then it took me to an error page. It's because a service worker messed up. I'm assuming, because that seems to be the new thing, is the service workers. Anyway, we have, it's not, our thing isn't public. And we also haven't updated our logo on GitHub to be our logo. That's hilarious.
That's sort of sad.
Maybe I'll do that. Wait, where'd my, what? I'm very confused. I don't have access. Where's my
your questions?
Huh?
Oh, you're not an admin? You're saying, did Eric not make you an admin or something?
Maybe we know we discussed it. I may have
go to people.
Neglected to open the email.
Nope.
No public members.
I guess I'm not
secret.
Okay. I will have to chat with him again. Anyway, that aside, and if I can get the Zoom thing is in my way again because I hovered close to it, so now I can't get to my tabs.
An org isn't a user anyway.
What?
An organization's not a user anyway. You were talking about submitting as the organization.
Oh, I'm just saying, like there's a Gmail address that's like Utah Rust or whatever that I could set my my Git for this project for this commit and make it a commit as Utah.js.
Yeah, you could at the Git level, but it would still show up as the user who pushed it on the GitHub level.
Git doesn't know about users though. Only GitHub does.
Correct. But if you push up a PR, the PR is a GitHub thing.
Yes, but it would show, never mind, that's not important. I'm saying like it would show up with the metadata of Utah Rust.
Yeah, it doesn't do a lot of validation backwards at the moment.
Right. Anyway, so should we put in a test on the file that I don't think they put, we've got flags we can put a test in. Or the display RS, I mean. Should we put a tester?
Yeah,
It's
I
up to
think
you
you
guys.
wanna make a test that puts the argument string that has the -d without tree, and then the -d with tree, and see that they set the correct flag.
Okay, so this one is the -d without tree right here.
Yep.
So we just want to add a -d with tree.
Yep.
Matches display directories. Display only directories.
Display only directories only.
What?
Just playing on the redundancy.
Oh, actually, this is going to be two arguments. There we go. Like this.
Yep.
Okay.
And then you change directory itself to display only directories.
So I bought a brand new battery for my MacBook, and it's lasted 2 hours. Oh man.
You gotta get
It
Apple
may take a
Silicon,
few.
man.
It may
So-
take a few cycles before the battery gives you the full capacity.
Well, if you let Xcode keep on installing in the background, that's what sucked up your battery.
no, it's actually Zoom. So
Yeah,
this is a
the video
2012.
video encoding with the scaling is really expensive.
Yeah, and so this is a 2012, so it doesn't. They switched the graphics card in like 2015, I think, to be one that's like it's the next evolution of GPU, and then they've done that. They've done that twice more since then, and so even running Chrome, like everything is GPU accelerated, and so it just kills the battery on this because this doesn't have a GPU that was built for the types of nonsensical loads that we put on programs that ran just fine a little while ago. But in this case, Zoom is actually doing a lot of work, like Levi said. But even without Zoom, having 16 gigs of RAM sucks a lot of power because this is designed for 8 gigs of RAM, and it makes a difference. I have an SSD in here, which that is draining power constantly as opposed to a hard drive that goes to sleep. And so just the 2012 was not designed for the upgrades that it's given and the applications that it's running. And so the batteries fail super quick because I replaced the battery like 2 years ago. So I'm pretty much about to give up on this and get something more modern. But now there's the whole issue of the M1, and I don't want to get the first generation of the M1 because of course it's there's going to be all the problems, like it only has 2 Thunderbolt ports and whatever else. I don't know if I can hold out for the M2.
8 years is a pretty good run for a Mac.
It's good for anything, I'd say.
Yeah.
So we want to run cargo test now?
Yep.
Is it cargo test? It is.
Yep, cargo test.
So I'm noticing this wedding in the next room, which I'm surprised you can't hear. The music's super loud. The wall's pretty thin, but I'm loving it because they're just playing all this old music. I guess no new music has come out that's suitable for a wedding. So I'm like bouncing over here.
It passes.
All right, cool.
So if we were really going to submit this, I would advise, for courtesy's sake, actually checking out the other PR and then making a PR off it as a base with any modifications we wanted to do it from it. Then rather than appearing to compete with somebody, you are value adding.
Word. Let's do it. So I think what we do here is check.
Well, we only got 6 minutes left, so I wasn't necessarily advocating doing it in session, but
I don't think your battery's going to last 6 minutes.
It's going to last 6 minutes. Okay, and
I think you're a lot more committed to the actual submission of PR than the rest of us.
This is like the purpose of, like I didn't do this just to be like, okay, let's fool around in Rust. My intention, as I stated in the PR, was like, I'm going to make this part of the meetup and we're going to do it.
Yep.
I want to be able to say like, yeah, we actually accomplished it. Not like, we went halfway. No, we went all the way. And so and if anybody is
I'm not saying you shouldn't. I'm just saying it's all you, man.
all right, I'm going it alone. No, I need to go over to, no, not this. Where do I need to go? I'm a little
what are you trying to do
confused.
at this moment?
Conversation 18. Why is there 18 bits of conversation? Oh, rebasing. I should rebase or squash. Small issue with the implementation. If we have tree layout and the config with pass D as a cell area, it's not getting tree as D.
Hey, they're asking for more tests. I like this guy.
But would you rather have a feature or I don't see, like for me, I'd rather have improvement than let something drag on and on and on and on and on. But it looks like stuff's being okay. So there's like a ton of discussion here.
I'm actually
Now
really
I'm feeling
impressed with
way
this project. Having looked at this code, it's very, very clean. It takes a lot of effort to keep things this clean because there are a lot of people that share AJ's inclinations.
Yeah, well, the Rust community leans much more towards organized code bases, so it wouldn't surprise me to see it more here, but I agree more often than not, I think people would prefer features. I'm not that way personally. I prefer a nice place to work in my side project code.
I mean,
Amen. I say if you're the maintainer, you have every right to demand
that's right.
really nice, pristine code because
Well,
I don't
so much
right to it.
effort.
If you're going through the pain of learning Rust as opposed to many other language choices, you're trying to do it because at least one of my motivations is you like the fact that compiler gives you quality assurance by itself, but a compiler won't find every bug. That's what the unit tests are supposed to be for as well. So that's why I think a lot of people would insist there's unit tests, thorough test coverage on these projects.
Yeah, there's no right answer. It really is just down to preference and opinion, and I think that just falls to the maintainer. And at some point, somebody inevitably gets fed up and forks it or something if it's that big of an issue to them. And that's the open source way.
Okay,
so
wait.
if I were approaching this and wanted to like value add and push this through, what I would do is I would contact the author of this PR and say, hey, like, can I be a collaborator? He's working in a fork and he could add me as a collaborator to the fork. And it's a really good pattern that I've noticed. If people are willing to work together, it's pretty often they'll be like, yeah, I'll add you as a collaborator to fork. You can push some commits straight up.
Well, yeah, for me, it depends on factors. Like a lot of times I just need something to get done, and communication overhead is communication overhead. In this case, I didn't need this to get done, but now that I've waited this long, I'd like it to get done. So
oh, sure.
I'm fine with contacting this guy. I don't want to like railroad his contribution or anything, but I would like to figure out what the issue here that wasn't addressed and then just address it. Because of the rebase issue, I'm not clear. I think I want to try real quick and see if this will work. Yeah, he did all the rebase and everything. So we should just be able to pull this in 28 days ago. Yeah. So I think we can pull this in and do exactly what you're saying, and we probably won't, I don't know, Well, won't be able to get everything done.
It
in the
will
next-
take a while.
But okay, so tree-L-D.
It looks like, so there's now both the command line arguments and then a config file, apparently. It reads in a YAML file with some options, and he wants to test the interactions between config file options and command line options.
The combinatorics problems of flags.
Well, it is time for me, so I'm going to drop off. But you folks are welcome to hang out as long as you want. So thanks all. It's fun.
Cheers,
See you
Nathan. We'll see you
around.
next time.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right.
Cheers.
Now, I don't know. So we got a config
I got to
file.
duck out too. See you
All right.
next time.
Well, if everybody's leaving, then maybe I'll just, well, I still got a couple people here. Does anybody want to keep going?
I think that you should figure out how this works if you want and choose a path. But I don't think I know how to do this. And I'll be honest, I don't care about collaborating on GitHub right now. Maybe I might someday care about this path with some project I run across, but yeah, it hasn't bit me yet.
Well, I've had, so this is my issue with contributing on GitHub, and is there, well, there's people, you never know what the result of the fruits of your labor is going to be. So like, it's pretty common we're all fork a project, and I always try to make the pull request or to open the conversation, but I've been burned a couple times where like the author's like, yeah, would you make this change? And would you also make this change? And would you also make this change? And actually, I don't really like the grammar of that. Would you change these words? And at some point it's like, okay, look, dude, just open up your own README and edit the file to be the words that you want it to be. Like there's a level at which
like
I'm contributing.
merge it and make the changes you want. I don't care.
Yeah.
I just want the thing.
But
yeah, I get where you're coming from. But
there was one library where I spent a whole weekend on it, and the dude kept on coming back with changes and changes and changes. And some of it was super pedantic, and some of it was like, oh, actually, I forgot it also needs to do this. And then after it all, he's like, yeah, this looks good. And it was never merged in. And it just like, I never had that same experience again, but it makes me wary of like wanting to, get super involved in something because programmers are pedantic.
yeah, I think there's sort of an approach you can take that, either if you're going to accept pull requests from people, you can just accept them and then clean them up afterwards to match the way you want it.
But this guy seems to have been pretty responsive.
Yeah.
I'm trying to understand why this was left out.
Probably just people are busy and they got sidetracked about.
I will also say I got added as a contributor to a random project for making a PR that I needed a thing. I fixed their home chart basically, but like I don't get notifications or anything. And I don't know about you. I don't go to GitHub like 7 times a day and look at my notifications in there because again, I'm just doing code. I'm not looking for the social experience. So like if they're anything like me, they will see a notification if somebody responds, but that guy commented saying like, I can merge this in if you want. And then like, no, nothing else happened. And so he may never get a notification and it's just completely out of his mind or whatever. Like there's lots of scenarios where this could languish just because you just put it out of your mind.
Yeah, it could be that the guy that made the PR is just running off his fork, and so his itch has been scratched, and the
Yeah, I'm just-
maintainer is like forgotten about it, and at some point he'll realize this is open. It's like, oh, yeah, people just get busy and
I'm confused at what the issue is here. I guess because I'm listening and I'm also trying to read at the same time, but I'm just like, I
Probably.
don't get it. What's the problem? Just realize this might cause issues if we have something like below directory itself and flags not
we're
equal.
he's making
Okay.
symbolic links.
Okay.
The -L flag is the one that is discussed in tests in that thread.
I don't want to deal with symbolic links. Can I just get rid of display like and call that good? Or I mean, not display like, directory like. Say it's got to be a directory or bust. Like, I would rather simplify the problem than deal with more edge cases, because I don't know about you, but I very rarely deal with junctions. And now I do have to plug in my laptop. I'm so glad to see that it will last 2 hours now on a Zoom meeting rather than 30 minutes. Oops.
Well, all that said, I am out. I'm going to go wash my dinner plate, and I will see all of you gentlemen online.
See you around.
Sure.
Bye.
Dad.
Okay,
Well,
what did I miss? We're all-
Todd just said farewell.
Todd peaced out. All right.
I think I'm going to take off too. It was
right.
fun to dive into that and figure out how to do the thing that the guy had already done. But yeah, I don't think there's anything massive to resolve there, but maybe it'll be easier to resolve when you're not trying to figure out what's going on and also paying attention to random Zoom people.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I feel like this was, whether or not this actually gets into the thing, I feel like this was successful as a learning experience, but I do want it to be successful in that, like, the fruits of our labor come to, we get something in a thing. That was very descriptive. All right.
Yep.
Anyway, have a good night.
See you around.
All right. And Peter, I think I'll just close this out. Thanks for joining us. Have a good night.
Thanks. See you again. Good night.